Peace be upon you, O Zahra, daughter of God's final messenger, mother of martyrs. You whose suffering God witnessed and recorded, whose home was violated by those who claimed to serve the very God who had honored you above all women of the world. Peace be upon the fragrant flower of the prophet, the one God's messenger kissed each morning in divine reverence, crushed beneath the door by those who forgot that God sees all injustice, records every oppression. Peace be upon you, O wife of God's lion. You who learn that when people abandon God's justice, no earthly fortress can protect, no claim of faith can shield from those who betray His trust. Through God's infinite knowledge, your broken ribs became the first crack in the foundation of every Muslim home. Your stolen garden, which God had granted you, became the first theft of divine inheritance. Your testimony, heard and preserved by God Himself, became the first silencing that He would avenge. And now, by God's will, I see in every door kicked down in Palestine, in every woman whose God-given dignity is violated, in every sacred marriage that humans tear apart against His command, I see God. I see God allowing your door to splinter again, that we might remember His justice is coming. Peace be upon Mohsin, the unborn martyr whom God had already named in heaven, the one God took as the first innocent witness, the first of millions He would gather to testify on the day of judgment. Not killed by swords, but by the weight of oppression that God allowed to reveal the truth of hearts by those who couldn't wait for God's decree before stealing what He had ordained as yours. And I weep before God for every Mohsin whose soul He breathes into the womb, only to have his creation declared inconvenient, murdered before breathing the air God had prepared for them. For every Mohsin crushed in Gaza's rubble, still in the sanctuary of the womb God designed, until the bombs, funded by those who claim to follow God, violate even that sacred space. For every marriage that God joined, but humans tear apart, treating his sacred covenant like a disposable contract, aborting the mercy he placed between spouses. O Zahra, through you I plead to God. They crushed your Mohsin to steal what God had given you, and today they crush millions of Mohsins, stealing the very humanity God breathed into us. I bear witness before God. You established the home as his fortress on earth, even as he allowed its door to burn to test humanity's commitment to justice. You were the manager of divine tranquility, the lady of the house where God's light dwelt, managing heaven's blessings with earthen hands that he strengthened. Through you, God taught us that loving mercy is his gift requiring cultivation, that compassion is his strength given to the righteous. You lived as the perfect, fragrant flower, giving fragrance even while being crushed, showing us how God's servants emit beauty through suffering. And Ali lived as the perfect protector, protecting the strength God gave him, serving as God commanded, providing not just bread, but the dignity God demands for all. Together by God's design, you wove the first tapestry, each thread a divine lesson, that marriage is God's earthly sign of his mercy, that true dowry is simplicity before him, that two souls can face the world's hatred and still find his tranquility reflected in each other's eyes. God strengthened you to rise, broken-ribbed, bereaved, betrayed, and speak his truth in the mosque where they thought they could silence half of his creation. Not begging for property, but declaring God's justice. Not pleading for pity, but performing the autopsy of a nation that had murdered its covenant with God. Through divine inspiration, you clarified, showing them how they had divorced themselves from God while claiming to be his deputies on earth. And God preserves your voice today, in every woman who says, enough, with his strength, in every mother who refuses the false mercy of euthanasia, in every daughter who will not let them sell the dignity God gave her. But where are we before God's throne? When we shatter the marriage He blessed, when we abandon the elderly He commanded us to honor, when we murder the souls He's breathing into wombs, when we break the homes He meant as sanctuaries. O Zahra, through you I confess to God, they broke your home to steal power from Him. We break our homes and call it freedom from Him. You were the truthful one, the one whom God granted vision beyond the veils of time. Through His knowledge, you saw your son's martyrdom before his birth, Zainab's sermon before she could speak, Karbala's tragedy written in God's preserved tablet. And God shows you our state now, building houses but not homes for Him, having weddings but not marriages blessed by Him, birthing children but not raising His servants, aging in bodies but not growing closer to Him. You witness, by God's will, men who memorize your words while crushing what God entrusted to them, claiming to be protectors, but acting as the tyrants He forbade. You see through His light women who weep for you while breaking their own covenants with God, abandoning the children He gave them, neglecting the parents He commanded them to honor. You observe the scholars who mourn your tragedy, while enabling the very injustices God sent you to oppose. But God also reveals to you the mothers of Gaza who shield their children with faith in Him, the wives of prisoners who wait with trust in His promise, the daughters who speak His truth to earthly power. You see the hands that still weave with faith in God. In Yemen's camps, where His name is hope. In Bahrain's basements, where His justice is awaited. In South Lebanon's resisting homes, where they teach children to love God through loving you. And God shows you Him, your hidden Son, the awaited one, whom God has prepared as earth's salvation, who carries your grief as part of God's plan for justice, Every broken home increases the sorrow God has placed upon his heart. Every abandoned elder delays what God has decreed for his return. Every aborted future grieves the divine plan he will fulfill. For how can God send him to heal when we insist on wounding his creation? How can the divine unity manifest when we choose to scatter from his robe? O daughter of God's beloved, I come to you and through you to God, broken by my distance from his commands, my home fractured by my failures before him, my tapestry torn by choosing other than what he chose. I have not been what God commanded me to be, not the garment that conceals faults as he instructed, not the fortress of divine tranquility he meant me to be. I have treated his sacred trusts as disposable, valued this temporary world over his eternal promise, chosen comfort over his covenant. But through your teachings, God has shown me that he accepts the repentant, that oppression must be named before him, that his patience has limits, and that some separations are his mercy. So I pledge before God, through your intercession, to honor marriage as he revealed it to you, to protect children as he commanded through you, to speak his truth against tyrants as you spoke it, to weep, but weep productively as you wept in the house of sorrows. With God as my witness, I will not let them normalize breaking his design. I will not let them call murder healthcare when he calls it killing. I will not let them make his sacred bonds into marketplaces. God reveals that the assault on your home continues, not with swords, but with systems that oppose his order. They don't burn the door, they foreclose the homes God meant as sanctuaries. They don't crush the baby, they make God's gift of children seem unbearable. They don't steal fadak, they steal the very possibility of the inheritance he promised. the same forces that martyred your Hussein now martyr the family God established as society's foundation, making men too broken to be the protectors God appointed, making women too exhausted to be fragrant flowers God intended, making children orphans while their parents live but don't parent as God commanded. And the scholars who should defend God's plan through your legacy debate your history while his principles are slaughtered. O Zahra, ask God to wake us from this sophisticated slumber. God has made you not just Hussein's mother, but the spiritual mother of every revolution he inspires against injustice. Your DNA, by God's design, runs through Gaza's mothers who gather their children's pieces while praising him. Your strength, which God gave you, flows through wives whose husbands are disappeared by those who deny his justice. Your wisdom, inspired by God, guides daughters who refuse to let materialism consume what he made sacred. Every woman who says no to commodification of God's gifts, every mother who refuses to abandon the role he gave her, every wife who demands his justice, not just patience, is your daughter in his sight. And every man who protects as God commanded without oppressing, who provides as God instructed without dominating, who leads with service as God's prophet showed, is Ali's son in divine truth. God made the family the last fortress against the empire of isolation from him. And that is why his enemies targeted it. With debt, with drugs, with despair, with false freedoms that imprison souls from him. But God preserves your memory, your home, small, simple, sacred to him, where his appointed leader played with his children, where the mistress of all women ground grain with hands he blessed, where heaven touched earth by his command. O Zahra, by your suffering that God witnessed, by your rights that God will restore, by your unborn whom God received as martyr, by your testimony that God preserved, I swear before the throne of the Almighty, I will not let them break another door without standing for God's justice. I will not let them crush another soul without raising my voice for his truth. I will not let them steal another inheritance without demanding what God has decreed. O God, through your beloved Zahra, count me among those who choose difficulty with dignity in your path over ease in distance from you, who choose simple weddings blessed by you over extravagant divorces that anger you, who choose present parenting as you commanded over profitable absence that you forbade, who choose your covenant over worldly contracts. Let my home be your sanctuary of tranquility, even if small. Let my marriage reflect your mercy, even if tested. Let my children for your servants, even if few. We send our condolences, asking God to convey them to you, for all He tested you with, and all you endure in witnessing our failures. To your father, God's beloved prophet, whose nation betrayed God's clearest command through him. To your husband Ali, whom God strengthened to hold you as you return to Him, who built you a house for grief by divine permission. To your sons, Hassan, poisoned, Hussein, beheaded, who inherited the resistance God placed in your heart. To your daughters, Zainab and Kulthum, who carried God's message through your voice to tyrants, and especially to your hidden son, the awaited one, whose heart God fills with grief for every broken home, every abandoned divine principle, every betrayed covenant with the Almighty. To our leader, Imam whom God has appointed to guard the fortress of divine authority. To the martyrs' families who understand that God's pleasure matters more than life. To every woman facing abuse behind closed doors. God sees you. To every man struggling to be worthy, God strengthens those who turn to Him. To every child growing up in wreckage, God is the protector of the orphan. We send condolences that you must live in a world that learned nothing from God's lesson through Fadak. But God's dawn is coming. Your son will return by His command, and He will ask in God's name. Did you preserve the families God entrusted to you? Did you protect the woman God honored? Did you raise the children God sent as trust? Did you maintain the homes God meant as sanctuaries? Or will He find empty houses, full of possessions, but empty of God's remembrance? Broken contracts instead of divine covenants, abandoned elders, an unborn dead against God's command, a wasteland where God's garden should be. O Zahra, ask God to help us prepare for the path of your Son. Plead with Him to help us mend what we've torn. Intercede for us to rebuild what we've demolished. Beg Him to make us worthy of the return He has promised. Let every marriage be a sign of God's coming justice. Let every child raised in faith be a soldier for his cause. Let every home that stands against the storm be a fortress of the divine revolution. Until God sends it, we are his servants through you. Our homes are dedicated to God through your example. Our struggles are offered to him through your intercession. Our children are raised for God, inspired by your teachings. Through you, we ask God to use us to prepare the world for your awaited Son. And we beg God's forgiveness through your intercession. For every door we failed to defend in his name, for every covenant with him we broke, for every sacred trust from him we violate. Peace be upon you, O daughter of God's final messenger, O wife of God's appointed successor, O mother of God's awaited proof. Until God takes our souls, until he brings the meeting of eternity, until he fills the sky with your Son's banner. We remain before the Almighty, your unworthy servants, seeking his mercy through you, his broken children seeking his healing through you, his hoping slaves seeking his forgiveness through you. Through the broken home of Zahra, we return to the eternal abode of God, our Lord, O most merciful, O most compassionate. Accept this whisper. Accept this communion. Accept this ballad. For you alone are the goal, and you alone remain. Hear our plea, O most merciful of the merciful. Hear our pleas, O Lord, sustainer of the universes. And from him alone is all ability, and he has authority over all things.